What hobby does not get more expensive the more you dive into it? Collecting rocks that you find. Magnet fishing. All you need is a strong magnet and some rope really, and maybe a few other things like gloves. Might even find something valuable one day if you're exceedingly lucky. Smithing. It's always just as expensive. Extreme couponing. Mom? Writing. All you need is a Word document in your brain, unless you're like me, who prefers oral writing, and now has a dragon's hoard of journals to write in. I hoard a bunch of empty notebooks. I'm so scared to write in those pretty empty pages and mess up. I feel this. I once bought an antique looking journal and wanted to write poems or make it a diary. Well, no, I was too afraid to mess up or write something stupid that I started writing my favorite poems from famous writers because I know that they're great and I won't regret it, except my bad handwriting. Now I started writing poems, but I was too afraid again, so I just used a block. I hope someday I'll be comfortable enough to write in those, but today I couple notebooks. Lock picking. That actually makes more money if you're fast enough. Geocaching? So easy. All you need is a few small trinkets and a geocaching resource. Wildcrafting. That's pretty much the entire point. Note: wildcrafting should be practiced mindfully, with sustainability in mind. Take only what you need. Leave enough for the plants and animals to live well and reproduce. Abundance is there, but only if we don't harm it. Oddly enough, lace making. Depending on the style of lace you're doing, the initial cost of tools can be fairly steep, or super cheap. Some styles require a needle, just a needle, but once you've got the equipment, you're only ever required to buy thread and maybe pins or paper. Okay, pattern books, but if you're even a little bit creative, you've got that covered. Source: used to make lace. Over the course of 15 years, I spent maybe $200. Not 200 a year, 200 spread over 15 years, and most of that was because I wanted specialty threads, like handspun linen, etc. Cross-stitch/embroidery. It's fairly cheap in general, but once you have a few sets in, you have a wide variety of colors to do your own. Ada, whoa. Thanks for the silver. My first. Playing cards, as long as those aren't Magic, The Gathering cards. Cardboard crack. Chess. Easy to learn, difficult to master. Resources to learn are freely available on the internet, and it is gaining quite a bit of popularity on streaming websites over the last few months. Edit: if someone new or any beginner want to learn chess, I would love to teach. Feel free to DM. Also, if you are really interested, please head over to /r/chess. Smile. Edit 2. My inbox is inundated with replies, and it makes me really happy that a simple comment made so many people interested in chess. If you need any help, please include your chess.com or lichess, org ID or both, register if new, so that it will be easier to communicate. Edit 3. Going to bed. Will reply in a few hours. Keep up the chess hype everyone, and also the cheese hype. Loads of people misreading the first word, lol. Writing. It may even happen that by diving into it you could earn something. Writing. It takes a certain amount of conscious effort to keep prices down though. 1. Knowing that you don't need a fancy computer to run a word processor. You do not need a Mac when a Chromebook or lower-end PC will suffice. Nowadays, a Bluetooth keyboard for your smartphone will also work. 2. Knowing that Google Docs and OpenOffice are free, and that you don't need to shell out money for MS Word or Scrivener. 3. Knowing that you do not need to pay for illustrations unless you're ready to sell to a publisher. 4. Knowing the difference between actual publishing and vanity publishing. 5. Knowing that you need neither the best keyboard nor the best chair to write. 6. Not spending money on writing-related tchotchkes. 7. Knowing that you do not need to pay for feedback. The internet will gladly give it for free. 8. Realizing that if your story is compelling enough, you don't actually need coffee. I agree with all of these except number 7. Most free internet feedback is awful and unhelpful. Paid feedback is worth the cost. Edit. Number 7, not number 8, which I initially wrote accidentally. I started a podcast as a hobby with 2 friends that moved to different countries in 2018, and we are still going strong. We talk about different topics every couple of weeks and it's very fun. The only expense we have is the host website, but we only pay because we have uploaded many episodes and needed more cloud space, but it's still very cheap in comparison to other hobbies. Reading. Having fun isn't hard when you got a library card. I did not expect to see an Arthur reference on Reddit today. Stick collecting. No joke. It sounds dumb at first, But once you get a few solid sticks, you'll start to love it. You should see my arsenal. Alright dude, you can't tease us like this. Show us your stick collection. Plot twist, Op is actually a golden retriever. Walking around outside and picking up shiny stuff you find on the floor, sometimes known as goblining or magpieing. Game development, Unity is free, Visual Studio is free, Blender is free, Peice is $20 but also not necessary, but highly recommended. It's a really fun hobby that doesn't have to cost anything if you don't want it to, only your sanity. Reading books from the library, card tricks, shadow puppetry, pressing flowers, singing, stargazing. Thanks to everyone for helping me realize how expensive all my hobbies are. Regardless of your hobby, the cost is inversely proportional to your self-control. The more self-control you have, the cheaper the hobby is. My hobby is getting addicted to new hobbies, spending loads of money on it, then losing interest. Meditation, haha, one of the cheapest hobbies, but people manage to spend money on this too, joining expensive courses, buying aesthetics like expensive candles, mats etc. Going on meditation retreats in high-end resorts in exotic locations. I can understand some well-scented candle or more comfortable mat, but why would anyone need some fancy wall ornaments or golden Buddha figurines? I thought closing your eyes is one of the most important parts. Hiking. I love getting lost in outdoor spaces. It inspires my creative work and is generally free. Learning languages? Deleted. Daydreaming. Daydreaming is fun. Then you write it down and then you have a story. Not a good one, but it's a story. Searches through comments to find a new hobby. Edit. Thanks for the Do Nothing award. I'll continue doing nothing. Edit number 2, Platinum? You are way too kind, stranger. Thank you. Gardening. If anything, it becomes virtually free after a few harvests because you can take the seeds out of the vegetables you just picked and replant them. Plus you already have free compost from the remaining plant matter / peels, etc. you picked. If you play your cards right, while there is an initial investment, it'll pay for itself in the end. Lol, nope. You get addicted to buying new plants. Edit. Wow, thanks for the silver and other awards. Here's a meme for you to enjoy while you're subscribing to our channel. We'll have new videos for you every day, so stay tuned. Disc golf. It's really fun and you can buy discs for like $10 and that's pretty much all you need. Origami? Bird watching? Bird watching, $20 for a great field guide to your local birds, $100 for a starter pair of binoculars, $40 to $80 for a nice bird feeder set up at home, then $500 for a decent spotting scope, up to $1,000 for high-end Zeiss / Swarovski binos, $8,000 for a trip to Central America with guided forest tours, $75,000 for an RV so you can travel America chasing rarities once you retire. It really depends on your level of commitment. $10 for a bird feeder and bird seeds, $20 for some good enough binoculars. Living as South America is good. Dumpster diving. Skateboarding. It's very cheap so far. I do recommend buying a good quality board, not something from Walmart, but I've gotten a lot out of this board, and when I break the board, instead of paying another $140 for a whole new complete, I just have to buy a new deck for $30, $65 and so on for the rest of the parts. Edit. Just wanted to add to this how much I've loved skateboarding since I started a couple months ago. I never thought I would do something like it, and I used to have horrible balance, but with some work my balance has become better than I could have dreamed and I've had a ton of fun. All of my friends are starting now. Collecting buckets. I have 7 buckets. The 4th one is also dark blue. That really depends on how long your bucket list is. I think I'd rather get rickrolled than read that again. Weightlifting. Average person would even save a ton of money by fixing their diet as a side effect. I bought my own home gym 10 years ago. Paid $2,000 used. Had a few upgrades, so $2,500 altogether. I have almost all the equipment needed, minus a leg press station. Over 10 years my gym would have cost me $20 a month. The membership here runs about $80. I'm super strong and relatively healthy. I should jump on my elliptical more. For the first 5 years I also ate super healthy and lost a ton of weight. Eating healthy stopped me from eating out and also made my groceries inexpensive. I've been a little more lax now, tougher with wife and kids around. Still have the gym though and still like lifting weights. Who knows how many years I've extended my life, which I guess will cost me money though? Edit. I definitely wrote that out wrong. I meant my gym cost me $20 a month over the 10 years. Gyms here start around $80 a month, plus gas and time and all the workouts I would miss. Live longer, have to pay more to live. It's a pay-to-play system. Gardening, writing, listening to music, meditation, walking, sketching, reading books/comics at the library. Computer programming. Python is free, the modules are free, new modules keep coming out and getting better, for free. Plenty of resources out there, YouTube, automatethering stuff, are free. A hobby that changes the way you see the world and adds another method of problem solving. It gets you exposed to all kinds of other fields. Also, it could land you a work-from-home job making great money or save you time on completing repetitive boring tasks. Learning Python gets you a huge head start on learning other languages as well, but Python can be used for a whole project. It's vast. Exercising/running. You only need to buy a good pair of shoes and some workout clothes and you'll be set for a while. Edit. Okay, my bad. Exercising is expensive, sorry. Crying. Reading. Library is free and there are always cheap books at garage sales, thrift shops, etc. Pixel art. Unlike other graphic design methods where you might need expensive software like Photoshop or Illustrator, you can use MS Paint or a variety of free software, even for animation. It's a great hobby because the pixels limit where you can place them, finite number of combinations and such, and refining techniques with color palettes, lighting, blending, etc. There is so much you can do. Swimming. Collecting sea glass, you're technically picking up trash. Stay away from Warhammer 40k, you'll start with once I have my area set up and my paints it's not so bad. Then one day you'll look at your army and realize that while Raven Guard is great, you really want to try an Eldar army. Eventually you'll feel like you went through the warp without a Jeller field. Cycling in theory. Buy a bike and only have to pay for minor maintenance while increasing fitness levels and happiness. However, one will quickly realize that the proper number of bikes to own is n+1, where n is the current number of bikes owned. Commuter bike, touring bike, race bike, full suspension trail bike, hardtail trail bike, aggressive hardtail trail bike, freestyle/jump bike, fat bike, and a BMX for and giggles. E-bike, cross bike, gravel bike, downhill bike, recumbent, track, fixie, trike. Drawing. I use a pencil, a pen, and a sketchbook. It's possible to make drawing more expensive. Better pens cost money, colored pencils cost money, digital art supplies cost money, but it's not necessary to buy those things in order to enjoy drawing. D&D. Depending on how invested you get into it at the start, if you get all of the books you could easily spend over $100, but you can also find PDFs for a lot cheaper. After that, though, you just have to find people to play with and you don't have to spend any more money. If you aren't buying a new dice set and a special edition of a book every month, then are you really playing D&D? Plus minis, a badass play table, ambient lighting, good sound system for theme/ambience music, dungeon decor for your game room, modular terrain. I could keep going. Bodyweight fitness, barefoot running, yoga, but obviously you can let costs accelerate, if you have to Mexico to run with Tara Humara or go to expensive yoga classes, locally or in India. Collecting ALF memorabilia, nobody wants it and it never gets more expensive for my GD brother-in-law to buy me more worthless junk for birthdays and Christmas. He thinks it's funny every time, so the laughs are cheap too. Cooking. Really, you have to eat. A few pots and pans and a decent knife is all you need, then the food you need to eat, so I don't see that as a cost. Sure, you can sous vide or get all molecular, but really, making a nice meal doesn't require much other than fire and a sharp piece of metal.